Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Truly an honor and a privilege for me to be here today. And I'd like to first off say a big thank you to Linda and the Doing Business in Nigeria team. Where's Linda? Out at the moment. This is such a great initiative. What do I do with this? Okay. Thank you. And I'm grateful to be here and to be a part of this. Without further ado, bearing in mind that we're working with time, I'll go straight into the presentation. And my mandate is simple. The economic impact of empowering female entrepreneurs. And the big question has been, is it necessary? Is it relevant? Is it the time for it? And the answer is yes. The jury is definitely in, and for very many reasons. Okay. I have an outline, and I'll just run through it very quickly. Thankfully, the gentlemen who went before me, Oludelano of Stanbic and Mr. Mitchell Elegbe, talked to a lot of the numbers, the facts and the figures that I had planned to talk to. So I'm just going to skip over them so I don't bore you and to make the best use of my time as well. Linda is walking back into the room. Ladies and gentlemen, help me celebrate this wonderful lady for this excellent initiative called the Doing Business in Nigeria Conference. I am so amazed by her. She's phenomenal, and I truly, truly, as we say in Warri, prouding on you. Celebrate you big time. Well done. Right, okay, so I'll just go on very quickly to talk about this sustainability. I'll skip that. I thought it was important to do a helicopter view of global female entrepreneurship before bringing it closer home and then talking to Nigeria. But the key thing or the key point that we must make or that we will take away from here is that it's very important to empower women, particularly female entrepreneurs. It's a prerequisite for inclusive and equitable economic growth because it's been confirmed that women are drivers in every economy. And when you have women who are actively participating in an economy, you see better businesses, you see more resilient structures, you see diversity in the workplace, and of course, better return on investments as well. And so the case for it is already made. Empirical evidence points to that. Increasing women participation means higher productivity. I think I'll just drop those key points first. Greater innovation, and I think the theme of this conference speaks to that as well, innovating for growth. Increased GDP, the numbers are there, and the numbers don't lie. There's more diversity in hiring. I just alluded to that a short while ago. A more inclusive workforce from across board, women-led businesses in most instances recruit all kinds of people, and that diversity that they bring to the workplace is always such a boon. They're also more likely to invest in communities, and what that does is invariably translate to localized economic power, and you're seeing good growth and development on the back of that. So I think that says it all, just the fact that having women and empowering them to deliver more in an economy will do well for the economy of that nation and obviously the citizens. So the global helicopter view, this is what it's like globally, but there is still work to be done. And it's great that we're pushing the STEM agenda. It's great that we're encouraging more women to do business. But what does that really translate to in terms of deliverables, in terms of numbers and figures today? Globally, this is what the numbers say they are. And then if you cascade down to Africa, closer home in our continent, Africa stands as the promised land. What does that mean for Africa? We looked at the global one. Let me just go back there. Okay. 61% of countries do still score below 50 out of 100. In other words, there's still a lot of work to do. Okay. That's global. We come down to Africa, this is what it looks like. But the good news is Africa stands as the promised land of women entrepreneurship. And this is just to say the numbers are there. There's so much that we can do. 150 to 200 billion dollars is estimated to be added to the GDP of countries by the time this potential is fulfilled or these numbers are met. And so Africa is the place to be. There's a whole lot going on that we must take advantage of. And this is just another pictorial view of where we're at. How has Nigeria fared? Not doing badly. In terms of global female entrepreneurship, this is where we are. Nigeria is at 40.7% and at a tie with Zambia, I believe. Okay, Nigeria and Zambia are at the same number. And even though some of these numbers can be queried, but give or take, it just shows how far we have grown. And just fun fact, a few numbers to throw out. Nigeria has, 43% of its population are women or female entrepreneurs. That's 23 million people, also ladies, who own businesses or who have started businesses, right? Another fun fact, when you think about what the benefits are that these women bring to Nigeria, and we'll see a lot of them, social indicators, economic indicators that tell us the value that they add. I am reminded about Malala's analogy where she talked about the need to carry women along. And so not just women, but women entrepreneurs, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So she uses the picture of a bird, right? And she says that it's like a bird flying on two wings. If the population of Nigeria is 50% almost female, 49%, men are 51%, that's like half of your population, right? So if you have half of your population not as empowered as they should be, it's like a bird flying on one wing. It can only go so far. It can only soar so high, right? But if the women are empowered, they have the numbers, they're contributing to the economy. Imagine the men and the women all flying together, okay? Does that create a picture in your mind? And for me, it was very powerful. It resonated with me just thinking about it, and that's why there's a compelling case to empower female entrepreneurs because of what they will do. Okay, so let's just dive down fully to the Nigerian business environment. And Oludelano did a good job talking about the numbers earlier on, so I won't bore you with that anymore. But what all of these slides are simply saying is that the opportunities are enormous. Endless opportunities. There's so much we can do. We have a budget for this year, for instance, just using this as an example, that portrays the vibrant ecosystem in Nigeria. So if you look at this KPMG numbers that they put out for us, you're wondering, the expenditure exceeds the revenue, right? There's a deficit already just looking at all of this, correct? Where will the funding come from? What will happen? Is it all bad news? Someone's inclination might be to say, I throw my hands up. I don't see how this will work. We're in trouble in Nigeria. But you know, just very much like that Japanese symbol for opportunity. So the Japanese symbol for opportunity is conversely the same one for crisis. So whereas people will see crisis, other people will see opportunities. And I can tell you many stories on the back of COVID where a lot of people were locked down for 3 months and didn't see what could possibly happen in that time. But others, perspective, Michelle spoke about it earlier on, were able to see the opportunities and pivot sometimes their businesses or their offerings and continue to smile literally to the bank all through that period, okay? And so for us in Nigeria, yes, the challenges abound. And for women entrepreneurs, they're there as well. But it's not all bad news, is the point that I want to make. There are challenges. These facts were talked about in the course of the earlier conversation and the panel as well. Access to capital, it remains an issue, and a major one at that. The infrastructural gaps, they're there. No gainsaying that. The market dynamics, we live in a VUCA world. It changes every day. I think someone alluded earlier on to the fact that you go and buy something in the morning and you go back later in the day and the price has changed. I had that happen to me just 2 Fridays ago. I sent someone to go buy a bottle of water, a carton of water. He bought the carton of water at 2005. That was in the morning. This was about 9-ish or 10-ish. And then later on, we ran out. Oh, go buy another one, okay? Because he was at some event that was going on. So I gave him money again. And he comes back, and it is 3,200 the same day. So 2 or 3 hours apart. I said to him, no, you see, you got to be kidding me. It's not true. I almost wanted to get up and follow him and say, take me there. I've got to go and see this for myself. I was that much of a shock. But that's what happens. Very volatile economy, the market dynamics, up today, down tomorrow, sideways the next, but it's a very real thing. And then the gender disparities, they still persist. No two ways about that, okay? So why should it matter? Why are we still talking about empowering female entrepreneurs? We've made the case for it, but we'll just go in a bit deeper. Economic benefits. We talked about the GDP and how all of that is almost quadrupled when you have empowered women who are driving businesses, job creation. And I'm going to shake a bit of a table here and just talk about my position. On Linda's behalf, I'll say it's my view, okay? So it's not doing business in Nigeria's view. And so please don't hold Linda, blame me for this one. And I'm going to talk about, and this is my view about this wonderful project that has come out stream recently. $19 billion expended, great project. I'm super proud of the people behind it. Wow, that's what good the project will do, okay? But guess what? It costs $19 billion to do that, right? At maximum capacity, and this is me, again, like I said, my views, I'm ready to bear the if any, fallout from this conversation. But at full capacity, I assume that probably 5,000 people at most will be employed by that organization. Full capacity at most. I'd like to say the gentleman who is government is not in the room, because I was going to say to him, and maybe they should look at this, but if $1 billion was taken and it was spread across 5,000 women, right? The incremental value, the economic benefits will far outweigh what we'll probably get in a couple of years. Is anyone thinking like me? Is anyone thinking like me, or you don't agree? I know there's the food chain. I know there are things that will come down all that way. But honestly, because women are known to not only create jobs, but carry other people along. Women have this sisterhood and are big about sending the elevator back down. Women are big, and as entrepreneurs, at ensuring that the benefits from their businesses cascade down to the communities that they're in. In fact, there was a study that said most women, female entrepreneurs in Africa, are quick to do all of this or start up a business because they need the extra income to send their children to school, and because they want to have an education for their children or better quality of life for their family. And so they will do this. Iya Modinot, she's frying akara in the morning. Later in the afternoon, she's doing something else. By the evening, she's selling recharge cards. They're doing different things at different times because they have these dreams. And that's why it's important for us to appreciate what empowering female entrepreneurs in Africa and in Nigeria in particular will do for us. They create jobs. There's social economic benefits as well. The economic ripples I just talked about. Female entrepreneurs, more and more, we're seeing some of them doing great jobs and inspiring our younger women to say, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it as well. They're adding value, I can do that as well. Part of the benefits of empowering women, okay? Are there barriers and solutions? Is it all easy peasy, honky-dory? I wake up tomorrow and say I want to become a female entrepreneur, and that's it. I go and I make millions of bucks. It doesn't work that way. There are barriers and solutions, but like the women that we are, typically we break through and ensure that we get the results that we're looking for. I won't dwell too much on this, but this is just about the need for education, because that's part of the barriers that have been identified as slowing women entrepreneurs down. Iya Modina, that I referred to earlier on, for instance, is probably selling akara in, down the road in Adiola or Deco. And she's selling akara, and she's wrapping it up in newspaper, just newspapers, right? And handing it out. But you and I agree that those akara, now that one they sweet pass. Those ones they wrap in akara in newspapers, right? But guess what education will do for her? I live in Abuja, and there's a new gig that's started recently where two young ladies, gone ahead, schooled abroad, have come back and have now started the akara place. This akara place, the akara is banging. They do akara boga, they do fried yam, they put it all, and they package it nicely. The bags, the containers, it's got the akara place written on it. And if anybody knows them, please tell them to send some my way for this free advert I'm giving them today, right? And then they do it, and then they package it. So Iya Modinat will do it and sell it at that spot for 200, 400 naira. But guess what akara place does it for? I think it's anything between 7,000 to 9,000 the last time I checked. And we are buying. The place is full. You don't eat akara just in the morning or in the afternoon. Even at night, people are at the akara place. They're chopping it very well. And these ladies are literally smiling to the bank. That's the difference education can make. So in empowering female entrepreneurs as well, it's important to give them that benefit. We want Iya Modina to be the next akara place. A few things that we've alluded to already, I'll just jump to them, but what are the solutions? We've talked about the impacts, so what are the solutions? Yes, the challenges are there, but will we let that slow us down? The answer is no. We're going to either go around it, jump over it, or like in that earlier picture, go right through the wall if there's a need to. But the solutions that would help in empowering more and more women to take their place and add value to our economy as entrepreneurs include this, okay? We're talking about tailored financial products. Olu earlier on talked about it and how women, how they're concerned about women and are developing products. There are many banks that do that as well and other financial institutions that are rolling that out, and that's commendable, and would like to ask that they do more. But much more than just rolling out the product that's tailored to women, the terms and the conditions have to be far better. They have to be more easier to access, and they have to be, in a nutshell, cheaper, okay? The rates have to be far lower if we want to do that, but that will be one way. Another way will be to nurture talent. You see that smart young woman who you know can do it, has got the drive, you know, has got the intellect or the competence to do something really great and add value in any sector of the economy. There's an onus on all of us, female entrepreneurs, and the he for she's who support the women in their lives to ensure that we encourage them to bring their best self forward, to be able to rise to the task and, you know, just help them to become the best version of themselves. Provide that enabling, inclusive ecosystem. Policy reforms were talked about earlier on, so I won't dwell too much on that, but that's critical as well. So we want to see more women at the table. To Malala's analogy, we want to see this big bird called Nigeria flying and soaring on eagle wings, but that will only happen if both the men and the women are doing it together, and only when the women get the support that they need, because they're light years behind the men, and that's not debatable, okay? A few women have done it, and this is just a salute to the women. I was looking for Linda's picture to put up there and didn't find one quickly, but honestly, saluting Linda for the good work she's doing. And these are a few women who have done a great job across sectors, so just a plethora of women. And, but that's just to say it's doable. Despite the barriers, the challenges that we saw, it is doable, okay? And so I'll just talk about my story. A keynote address typically before now will be that you printed out something and you gave it out to people. But this was necessary for the more visually minded amongst us, you know, and just to show some of those figures that needed to be shown. So my story as an entrepreneur, I was in banking for very many years and in financial services. And after I left, I then set up a management consulting firm, which I still run, but I do a couple of other things. I sit on a couple of boards and all of that. What can I share? What did I do right or that I'm still doing? Essentially, first and foremost will be for me the G factor, and I say this with every sense of responsibility, and by the G factor I mean God. So you need that at all times, okay? Whatever God means to you. For me, it's a key part of my life, so I will have to talk about it first and foremost. The second thing would be education. So I'm speaking to the would-be entrepreneurs in the room or people who are considering, you know, striking out on their own or who are doing it and just need a bit more encouragement. I'm sharing my story now, and a big part of it was getting the education. Get it. Take the courses, learn from people, internship if you need to, get a mentor if required, but never stop learning and never stop moving forward. I famously always say, better to have that qualification and not need it than need it and not have it. So every chance you get, make sure you're upskilling. You're going back to school for something or the other. Even if you're going in a different direction, it's a friend of mine who says that if you're climbing a ladder and you get to the top of the ladder and you find that it was leaning against the wrong wall, please come down. It's not by force. Hausa people will say, Abumba dole bene, okay? You come down from that ladder, you take the ladder and go and put it against the wall, right? Pivot if you need to. But it's important to don't die there, as we will say. Very important. But get that education, get all the information you need, and never stop learning. Another thing that I'm still doing is networking. The power of networking is amazing, and that's one of the things that this platform, as Doing Business in Nigeria conference, provides as well. So I'll encourage everyone, make sure you don't leave here today until you have made those 5 contacts that will be beneficial and useful for you. Have the conversations. Your investors might be in the room. You never know. Okay, so network. Your alumni association, your old boys, school meetings, your neighborhood associations. If you live in an estate and they have all of that, those Saturday mornings that you're snoring away when you should be at the neighborhood association meeting, you're probably just losing millions of dollars because you're not engaging properly. So it's important to do that. Industry bodies, whatever sector that you're operating in, very important for you to get to know whichever is the, self-regulated organization or whatever it is, associational, if it's the bar association, the medical or association, whatever it is, that you're in, just be a part of that. It will amaze you, the doors that open from there and the benefits that you get. The only other thing will be hard work. It pays. You will work, and particularly for the entrepreneurs or for those who are planning to just start out, it's not as rosy and as pretty as it looks from the outside in. So adjust your expectations. The work is hard. You have no time that's yours. Your phone is ringing at 12 a.m. and you got to pick it up because that might just be a transaction that will go to the next person if you're not responsive enough at that time. So it's very important. Be ready to work hard. You can't, it's not an 8 to 5 job, there's no closing, no starting, no weekends, no public holidays. I was saying to my sister the other day, this 3-day extended holiday was for you, Abby. She said, oh yes, it was. She was hoping it won't end. She was hoping the federal government won't be shy and just tack on Friday so they could have just had the entire week. She has that luxury. I don't. Tuesday I was up and out very early. Wednesday I was all over the place because we're chasing the business. Right? Very important. So you've got to be ready to work hard. No holidays, but it pays. It pays people. Okay? Resilience is another thing, and you need that in Nigeria. I think Michelle and everyone has done a great job talking about it, so I won't bore you with that. But I have seen things in my how many years of doing business in Nigeria as a female entrepreneur. And just recently, in February, I had to take a team to go to the FIRS office in Abuja. I live in Abuja and work in Abuja. And we had to schedule that meeting because we'd been getting letters from these FIRS people. Oh, you have to pay this. Oh, you have... On top of this small business that I'm doing, pay what? I know this one. But I paid. I'm an efiko. I'm very diligent about crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Before the 31st of December, I'm calling my tax person. Oh, yeah, let's do our books. I'm calling my lawyer. Oh, CAC, let's file the return. So I have done everything by the book. Can't a woman even breathe in this Nigeria? Anyway, they had sent letters back and forth, and I said, no, this one, it is time. So I wrote to them and said, please, can I book an appointment? I need to come and see you. We need to have this conversation. And they gave me an appointment about 2 weeks from that date, and I went. I went with my lawyer, I went with my tax, I went with my accountant, and we went and sat down. Let me explain to you what exactly it is that we do. Let me tell you what our billing is. And so we went through that process. Long story cut short, hallelujah, I have not received a letter since then, okay? But you need that resilience, that doggedness. You have to be driven. You have to refuse to quit. You have to be sure that you're pushing your way into the right rooms, and you're making sure that the people who need to hear you, hear you. You need to speak up. The youth taught us a couple of years ago, Soros, okay. You have to speak up, right? If you don't speak, no one will know, and you won't know where help will come from, okay? But enough of my story. How many more minutes have I got? Anyone helping me? We're rounding up. Okay, just to wrap up is to talk about collaboration and partnerships. Very important. It's not just you can't do it all on your own, and you make a very small package when you do anyway. So it's very important to find the right partners, to work with them, and to be able to move your business forward. And so in wrapping up, just the things that are key that we need to look at in terms of empowering female entrepreneurs, yeah? Policy support, it goes without saying. Access to market, it remains a key issue that can help us make that quantum leap and see female entrepreneurs giving a whole lot more to our economy, okay? Corporate initiatives, very important as well, and there'll be benefits in that area. Investment in women-led ventures, that's all that we're talking about. But look at what the numbers say, okay? The volume in female-founded startups, and you can see how the number continues to grow. But so this is a call to venture capital and angel investors in the room to say, you know what? You can do a whole lot because you are driving the economy essentially, and not just female entrepreneurs, because there's a whole lot that we can get out of that. Measuring impact, revenue growth, we've talked about that. I think my time is up, so I'm just running through very quickly. Social indicators, these are the benefits that are bound to be ours when we do go down that route and encourage the women. And this is my call to action. A friend of mine, Oracle, gave me this. They call it the CIA strategy. And it's a call to action to essentially say, let's collaborate. And hence that picture earlier on. I'm not a rabid feminist in the sense that we're saying, oh, it has to be about women and women alone. We need the men, we need each other. So that collaboration is key. Let's join forces, let's share knowledge, let's create the circles of support. Let's invest in ourselves, in others, in critical areas of the economy. Infrastructure is very key. We've talked about that. And then let's advocate as well. So in terms of policy making, like we discussed earlier, let's begin to have the conversations. Let's demand accountability and probity from our elected officers. Let's come up with policies. Let's become thought leaders in areas that will benefit either our sector or other women. Very important to do that. And just to say that, yes, that we can, because we have a responsibility to the generations that will come to bequeath, if you like, a better world to them, a better economy, a better nation. And if the economy isn't doing as well as it should do, because the female entrepreneurs have not stepped up to the plate, then we won't be giving that legacy behind that we hope to do. And on that note, I'll just like to say a big thank you. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you again, Linda, for this opportunity.
We actually will take one or two questions for you. Okay, I see a gentleman there that has, okay. Although we did want women asking questions, though, because we have had a number of men asking questions. So if we don't get a woman asking a question, I'm going to take the microphone to a random woman, stand next to her, and she's going to manufacture a question on the spot. Thank you, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Rotimi. I've worked in talent acquisition for 2 years at IBM. And so part of the strategy to empower women especially is by working with skills development organizations, so identifying talent networks that are empowering women with technical skill sets in consulting. So I was curious from your perspective, which skills development organizations you see locally that are driving that impact, and also how Nigerian corporations, Nigerian not-for-profits, and also entrepreneurship studios can support particularly women with accessing the skills that are required to find success in the economy here.
Thank you, Rotimi, and that's a very good question. In terms of which organizations are driving, too many to mention, and none of them paid me to advertise them. So, workforce, they come to mind. Wimbies, in terms of on the social side, you mentioned, because Wimbies does a lot of development in terms of skills and talents, and also just having sessions where they equip women with all the information that's required. There's actually a standing committee that's WIMCAP, which is Women Capital, and they actually expose you to all the opportunities where you can get the funding from, teach you how to run a business, take you through a process. And I commend Wimbies for that as well. Let's see now. There are quite a few, quite honestly. Which other ones come to mind? Then, of course, the big fours. I mean, the usual PwC, KPMG. I referred to a slide from KPMG earlier on. You can't go wrong with them. Then another one will be DCSL. DCSL is run by BC Adeyemi, and I know that they're quite good in trying to find talents and find the right people for organization, headhunting, and all of that. There's that as well. Yeah, did I answer your question? Was that all? There was a third part of it. So it was the organizations I could recommend, what we look out for. What else? Okay. Okay.
I was curious about how there could be more partnerships driven between businesses and these skills development organizations. Because, for example, when recruiting for strategy consultants or when recruiting for developers, you notice that there's lower representation of women in the pipeline. And so in order to address those gaps, corporations need to partner with these organizations that you're mentioning to address their presence in the recruitment pipeline. So any, I guess, successful use cases that you've seen even within the Big Four where these partnerships are driven so that there's more presence of women.
It's important to have those engagements. So it's the organizations and then these firms who offer the services just engaging more and more and seeing areas of collaboration and making that happen. But it's also on us as individuals generally. I mean, if I saw someone who I thought was a great fit for a role in a particular organization, whether they were advertising or not, or if there was a vacancy or not, and if I knew someone in HR or in the recruit, someone looking out for talent, I'll send the CV on and say, oh, this seems to be a good person. You might not need this person now, but just put it in your pool. It might come in later. And that's something we say to ourselves as women as well. We're changing that thinking narrative about women not helping each other. That's so old school and so in the past. Women help each other now. We're actively looking out for each other. And so we will send the CV. We will recommend a woman. We won't go to a conference like this alone. You bring your tribe with you, so people can learn and take advantage of the opportunities. So it's just to continue to drive that engagement and to keep spreading the word to say, if you know a good person, pass it on. If we're looking for, people in this space, we'll come to you. And please put your best roles or your best names or CVs forward to help. I hope that answers. Thank you, Rotimi.
We have 2 questions from 2 women. Finally.
Shoot, finally.
Okay, finally.
Girl power.
All right, please introduce yourself. I'm so happy you're asking a question.
Right.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hadisi Wajibuno. Call me AJ. I run Insima Travels and Tours Limited. Quick one. I just wanted to ask, how do you shuttle or balance running a business and also running your family? I'm in the travel and tourism space, and it can be quite challenging doing it, you know. And my question is, how do you juggle both? And also, how do you get capable hands to be able to drive your vision and also enable your business to run smoothly while you do the work of monitoring and managing, so to speak? How do you measure this together? Thank you.
Hi, AJ. Don't you see my cape? The red cape, the spider, the superwoman cape, you know? But you know how it is. You just need to plan a lot. You have to be very effective at juggling, right? What I do is determine what's urgent and what's important. What will break if it doesn't get attended to now, okay? And I make that, you know, I discern that in my head. So there's urgent and important. There's urgent but not important. There's important but not urgent. And then you pack it in the different boxes, okay, or buckets. And then when you have now identified what is critical, then you deal with the critical things first, okay, in the order of importance to you. The second thing will be leaning on your network. And by that, it could be friends, it could be family, it could be paid domestics, right? You can't do it all. I'll share a story. I worked in a bank for 15 years, my last formal role. And in the middle of that, or the last 7 years of that, my family had moved to Abuja, but my role was a head office role in Lagos. And so for 7 years, I shuttled every single week, read my lips, every single week to Abuja and back because my role was head office role. But I enjoyed my job. But how did I manage? And I had 2 growing children. I will be doing homework on the phone while the father over there will sign off on the book, all right? But I'll call every evening and do that. And then I made sure I went back every weekend. I never missed a visiting day in all those years, except one when I was out of country. I was there for tea with the principal, even if it meant flying in from Lagos to go that day and then come back because I thought it was important. So you juggle. But then there were times when I just couldn't make it. So I leaned on my sister, who lives in Abuja, and my sister-in-law. I could call them at a moment's notice and say, would you please go to the school for me? Would you do this? And thankfully, yeah, that's family, right? That's why they're there, for you to be a nuisance. So leverage and take all that you can, friends, and then where you need to pay people to do that for you, by all means. But you've got to do what you've got to do. And I think the main thing was just God, the God factor. As you can tell by now, I love God, and I talk about him at my every second breath. So it was just leaning on him and asking for grace and just, you know, using that. Exercising helped to keep me sane. Never mind that I'm this size. I don't know why I'm not like Max-Gbinije yet. Honestly, I should be. But, you know, just keeping yourself together, being in that healthy frame of mind, you know, would help you as well to juggle and balance. But essentially, it's just determining what's urgent, what's important, what can break, what I must do now, what can be farmed out or delegated. I don't have to cook. There are people who are better cooks than me. Yes, my sister, give it up. I don't have to cook. And thank God for, I must say this, my husband, who has been beyond exceptional in terms of the support. I mean, there'll be times when I'm like, oh, there's NPR this Saturday. I was going to come on Friday and come back to Lagos Sunday. He'll be like, don't worry, stay and do your NPR, you know, and he'll take care of the boys. And it's worked well. And I'm grateful to God, you know, for a man like that. But he understood. So knowing they have to eat even while I'm out, I get a good cook, a good, caterer, and they'll deliver soup, stew, name it. It could be 5 different types, and it will be in the fridge, right? So all they've got to do is boil rice, or even make eba, something small, not like the hardware, the major part of it. And they were fine until the next weekend when I got back. But I also had someone who lived with me as well, who's been with me for 21 years now. She came as a maid, became a sister, and I call her deputy mommy. She's still with us, and so she was there and it helped as well. So just leverage all of that, determine what's urgent, what's important, and just try to find the balance. And in the middle of all of this, girl, you do you as well, okay? Find the time to down it all, close the door, go to the spa, and just exhale, breathe. You must find that time to do that as well. I hope that helps. Excellent. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
And hi, please. I'm going to digress a little bit. Okay, so Okay, let me go this way.
Okay.
Since this is all about empowering female entrepreneurs, I want to use myself as a case study right now. I got married immediately. I left school. In fact, I already had a child while I was doing my NYSC. And for the 14 years of my life, I was kept in one spot not to do anything for myself, okay? And it was just all about, no, you can't go out, you can't do this, you can't walk, you can't do business, even though I read biochemistry and I'm good at what I read, but then I didn't find that opportunity to even exercise it or be useful or to improve myself for 14 good years. And now at the end of the day, it all ended because the marriage had to crash, for me to come out and be myself. So, and since let's just say these few years, I've fought to improve myself in every way possible because that's the only thing I know I could do for myself. It just felt as if I've been in the olden days, like analog years back, not knowing what is happening. Like this kind of event, I wouldn't have attended it, Like I don't mix up, I don't go for any event or anything. So I don't virtually know what happens around. Okay, so right now, it feels like I'm starting my life afresh, trying to learn new things, improve, and get to the point where I have to do what every other successful woman is doing or planning to do. So now in this case, if we are trying to help women, raise strong women who knows themselves, who is improving themselves, who wants to change the world. And then we find ourselves in this kind of situation, and you can imagine me coming out for the first time, not having anything to even start with. Now, what's our plan, okay, in helping this kind of woman? Which organizations are there out there, looking out for these people to find them? Because this is exactly what kills them, okay? If there is no backup, then they die inside. So where are those people, those organizations that are willing and ready to support these women that are eager to rise in order to stand firm so that they don't snap back, as if they can't make it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, first off, for being vulnerable and sharing your story with everyone here. The good thing is you're out, right? And like they say in Nigerian pidgin parlance, na the day where you wake up be your morning. Linda, I hope I'm not dumbing down this your event with all this my pidgin. I'm just trying to keep it real. Na the day where you wake up be your morning, right? So you've woken up and you're here and you're alive and well. The last 14 years when you didn't do all of that, sister, you didn't miss much, okay? And I'm sure some good came out of all of that. So the last 14 years was not a waste. But you're here now. So pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Identify what you want to do. The sector you want to play in. You will not go to, let me speak for Adiola Aziz. Okay? Adiola Aziz is one of the co-founders of Wimbase. And she's like a big sister. And she's a wonderful woman. You will not go to an Adiola Aziz, for instance, and say, this is my story. This is where I'm coming from. This is what has happened. And now I want to be in this sector that you're in. Just using that as an example. What do I do? Or how do I go? That she'll just say to you, oh, good luck to you, all the best, and walk away. And I'm saying this about a lot of women. There are loads and loads of women who are empowered, who have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and who know what time of day it is, who know that it's time to help a sister up. she will most likely say this, and I'm sure I can vouch for Mrs. Aziz when I say that. She'll be like, really? Okay, what do you want to do? She'll flip her Rolodex and see who is in that sector, who can give you a leg up, who can you go and intern with and learn the ropes, at least brush yourself up. She will most likely recommend you to someone. And ladies, if we're not doing that already, we need to do a whole lot more of that, because that's what the old boys do, you know, and they say they have these old boys clubs. That's what they do. They network, they refer one another, they help each other up. And that's what we must do as women as well, okay? So most likely someone like that who's strong, who's an empowered woman herself, will most likely help you, okay? So find the right person, know who you want to work with or mentor or. And then in terms of organizations, again, my darling Wimbies, Hansetu, you guys have to pay me for all of this free publicity, okay? Hansetu Max-Gbinije is here, Executive Director Wimbies. Thank you, Hansetu, for being in the room, okay? What Linda is doing is amazing, doing business in Nigeria, and here she is talking about women because she knows no women have to. And when I said to her, how did you even get started on this journey? She said, first, I'm a woman and I'm doing business in Nigeria. So Linda is someone you can talk to as well, all right, who will be able to steer you or point you in the right direction. And any woman who's worth her salt in any sector, you know, it's time to help one another. Go see that person. Let's talk after this, you know, let's see what we can do. But you didn't miss anything. It's not too late. Now, the day where you wake up be your morning. So the world is still your oyster. You can still be everything you want to be and a whole lot more. All the best. Huh? Okay.
All right. It only took one. Yeah, just one more. Our moderator has a question.
No problem. I'm good. I'm just thinking about the time.
Okay, very quickly. And again, it's just a coincidence that this also has to do with Wimbies. So I was at the Wimbies conference last year, and I recall that there were some opportunities for women to get some sums of money from sponsors. And I do remember that one lady was successful, and she came up very happy. And then one of the first things we heard her say was how she was going to use the money for some family needs. And this was a business conference. The money was supposed to essentially support business ideas. And then we had a woman coming in, and her focus was that. So why is that the case? Because I remember that someone said to me that a man would easily have thought about how he was going to multiply that money and eventually also provide. And then the second, on the back of that, the Faith Foundation has this State of Entrepreneurship report, which they issue every year. I was fortunate to be part of the technical committee that worked on their event and also a speaker. And I recall one of the things that I read in the report was around women. The fact that there are more women entrepreneurs than men, but then less women have access to finance. So again, looking at this situation I painted with this lady who was very focused on family, which is a good thing, but in terms of priorities, and then seeing that, is it a capacity issue? Is it the fact that we're natural nurturers and can't get our minds off that to be able to focus on business? And as a result, even though we have more women entrepreneurs, we have less women actually accessing available finance. So that would be my question.
Right. Thank you, Tony. And to the bit about, are we more just natural nurturers? I'll say the answer is yes. You know, the heart of a mother. A man will close eye, and I mean no disrespect, and you know, but a man will close eye and say, no, this is for my business, because he's thinking, you know, I put this in the business, you'll be able to bring up a lot more, and then what comes out of it, I can then use a part of that to take care of the family, right? But a woman, you know, the tender heart will be like, no, time is a-going, anything can happen. What if she or she dies before then, you know, and all of that. So yes, we need to be a bit less emotional when it comes to that, but it's also being practical, okay? So again, cost-benefit analysis, what's urgent, what's important. If I don't use this money for this family situation at this point in time, waiting will spoil. Will the person die? Or can she hang on a bit longer? I use it very quickly and turn it around for that transaction, and then I have a whole lot more after that to be able to take care of that situation. So it will depend on that. But on the back of that will probably be also the advice to say, women, we need to be a bit more objective in terms of making business decisions. We need to be a whole lot less emotional, okay? We need to understand what will come back from every decision that we make. And on the back of that, then make the right decision. But it's a no-brainer. If this person was going to die, if we didn't use that money to take care of that situation, a woman will, without even thinking twice about it, go to that, So there's that as well, and it's very important to do that. So I'll say it depends on the individuals. It's who we are, but we need to do a whole lot better. And let's get more serious. Let's get more, it depends on what you want out of your business, But then you've also got women who will say, if the person die, make he die. I put this in my business, I get this transaction, and we can do something else. So, that will be my short answer. Did I answer? Was that it? Okay. And talking about money and the grant, I'm reminded, Linda, is it too late for me to join this pitch? You mentioned $10,000 the last time. I would like me some of that money as well. So if it's not too late, please put my name in the hat. Okay. Rotus, I think my work is done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.